Welcome to the Bureau of Occult Affairs. For many people, 2025 will be an extraordinary year. Not for all, because some who rule the world of money know more than the common man does. In 2020, something extraordinary happened. The Federal Reserve, in combination with President Donald Trump, doubled all the amount of dollars that were ever made and printed in the United States. That graph is probably a very abstract way of saying complete change of world domination.
Next, I will direct all members of my cabinet to marshal the vast powers at their disposal to defeat what was record inflation and rapidly bring down costs and prices.
You see, when you are in power as bankers, and you look at your own system, and you see that it is time to make the next step, there are many things you can do. But the most effective way to change a system is to let people think that they want that change themselves. So, for instance, when Eric Trump went to Abu Dhabi to talk about cryptocurrencies and the role his father will play, a lot of cryptocurrency enthusiasts might got more enthusiastic because he's talking about deregulation and the end of the fiat money system. And this, of course, is exactly what people want to hear. But that same Donald Trump allowed and asked for 100% inflation on the dollar in one day. Now that would be absurd, because that would mean you end your system that day. But that's not the truth. The truth is that people in power know that the common man is, let's say, to the least slow. And that means that when you pull the trigger on the dollar and create 100% inflation in one day, you know that it'll take 5 to 7 years to trickle down. It's just an economic reality. So imagine on that day in 2020, someone would walk up to you and say, your house, your $500,000 house, now has a price of $1 million. The price just doubled. The value didn't double. The price just doubled. Because the price of the dollar just halved. But the bread will double in price. It'll go up from $2 to $4. The fuel will double. Everything will double. And so will your house. That's what should have happened on that day. But you can't let that happen because people can't process that kind of inflation in one day. Double prices. Double prices on everything. Now the bankers, they have a trick. They don't print the money and get it into circulation. No. It's been given to other banks who can give out loans. So very slowly, this inflation will occur. And the loans usually are backed by something, be it a house or a patch of land or company stocks. So what I imagine is that behind the scenes, someone said, we of the fiat system are done with the fiat system. We have so many skeletons in our closet. Let's just make them go poof by changing the system. But before you do that, you know what you want? What you want is you want to buy everything real. Real. You want to buy everything real, but not out in the open. So through constructions of banks and loans and purchases and new companies and old companies and merging companies, and a whole elaborate scheme where all commodities and all things real are owned by, for instance, BlackRock or other investment vehicles of the truly rich. Are they rich? They're in power. They are in power. And they know the game of banking. And are they Templars? Are they Temple Knights? Or were the Temple Knights eventually corrupted in a way? Or did they start off corrupted? Or did they start off right and wrong? Oh yeah. Seems rather irrelevant now, because what we see now is that modern banking, or traditional banking, but especially the new system, will be the harvesting of human energy. That's all it is. It's harvesting of human energy. And taking possession of all things real. All mines, all agricultural companies, all real estate companies. Basically all nations. They own the nations as well through a system of loans. It's not hard when someone comes up to you and say, can you give me a 600 million loan to buy armaments? You say, just wait 5 minutes and I'll go in back and print it up. Here you go. Pay me interest. And as collateral, I'll take your country. And then fund the other party as well. So, let's just stick to the facts, if we may. Look at the graph. See what it really says. It is the most terrifying thing in the world if you realize what it says, because it says it is the end of life. There are two conditions for life. One is survival. Two is freedom. Now, in a tri-state world with CBDC money, camera systems everywhere, a totalitarian, Marxist kind of society, There is survival, because you will have your monthly points appointed to you. There will be survival. You will eat what they tell you to eat. You will drink what they tell you to drink. You will do what they tell you to do. But you will survive. But you have no freedom. So unfortunately, in the Marxist tri-states, there is no life. It is the death of the soul, and therefore no human life can endure. And then there is death. That's rather simple, because death means no survival. So tons of freedom, but no survival, so also no life. And then there's the third option. And the third option would be survival and freedom. Do you think it's granted? Still. Because in the next few years, we will see a total change in all world economies and geopolitics. The fiat banking system that rules the world will merge into a far more terrible system. Digitalized, programmable money. Where you will own nothing. You will rent and use and pay. But it's not that it's a utopia where no one owns anything. Some people, through company systems, will own you. They will own you. There are many people who say, well, we're slaves already, aren't we? Slaves to that system. That is true. Unfortunately, that is true. It's going to get worse, though. And that point in time, is a point where you can choose. You can choose life. If you know that the two conditions for life are survival and freedom. You have to make a definition for yourself. What does survival mean and what does freedom mean for me? Are you afraid? You see, if anyone understands why people will make the wrong choice, it's because they are fear-driven, and the Temple Knights understand this. This knowledge is readily available. Gold and silver. People will say, we'll move to gold and silver. Unfortunately, within the Marxist community, ownership of gold and silver is punishable by law. You shall not own gold and silver, nor shall you pay with it. But we will have our own blockchain systems in place. Yes, unfortunately, laws will regulate those. There will be deregulation on cryptocurrencies owned by the ones in power, and there will be extra regulations on all new free systems. You see, Friedrich Nietzsche wrote about hope. He said, when all diseases and plagues came out of Pandora's box. The last one to crawl out, and the most miserable one of all, was hope. Hope is when you think that things might turn out for the best. It will keep you inactive. There will be hope. Let's hope for a better year, 2025. So do not mistake hope with faith. I encourage faith, but I ask you to abandon hope, because only when you abandon hope you might consider taking things in your own hands. Do something. Move. Understand what is going on. Talk to people. Conquer any depression that might overcome you when you realize that the shot at humanity and your human life, your freedom, that shot has been fired in 2020 by the Federal Reserve and the United States government. And you see what they have done since then. Everything has been bought up. Inflation is soaring. The happy fool will say, my house just doubled in price. There you go. The economy has grown. We're doing okay. Yeah, bread is a little expensive. Yeah, fuel's a little expensive. Things are getting more expensive, don't you think? War in Ukraine, funded by new printed dollars. What's the collateral? The land. Let me tell you what happened in Ukraine. First day of war. People would have their own currency in Ukraine. Did you hear? It's the hryvnia. It was gone in one day. Poof. But unfortunately for the people, but fortunately for the people, the government had a system in place. You would get an app on your phone and you would get points, and with these points you would be able to pay. Your paper money was worthless. The value of a house in Ukraine, you tell me. Under what regime? It's a testing ground for the rest of the world. All that happened to Ukrainian people will happen to the rest of Europe, Africa, Asia, Russia, America. There are wonderful people such as Whitney Webb who describe what's going on. But you must realize that this happens because the people allow this to happen. If enough people know, and enough people say we want a different system, and not digital, but analog. You see, the World Economic Forum's words, "the future is digital," was best put to the side by a man who is also working on that digital world, Elon Musk. But he knows. So Elon, You know, if you don't make stuff, there is no stuff. The super rich are buying the real economy. They're destroying the people. They're destroying freedom. They're destroying human life. And you know what? It makes perfect sense. Because we get what we deserve. Good night.